Hello and welcome to our Spring 2015 Digital Photography Lecture Series. We are thrilled to have photographer Valerio Spada as tonight's guest speaker. Valerio attended Milan's Istituto Italiano de Fotografia, where he graduated with an MFA in photography. In 2011, his first self-published book, Gomorrah Girl, won the PBN Photography Book Now Best Book of the Year. Now in its third edition, the book was re-released in 2014 by Twin Palms and made Time's Best Photography Books for a second time. And so many awards have gone to Gomorrah Girl, I won't even bother to. Great success, a great event in publishing. His works are included in the permanent collections of George Eastman House, Cleveland Museum of Art, ICP, Lightwork, and the DC Bank Frankfurt Art Foyer Private Collection. In 2013, Valerio was awarded a Guggenheim Fellowship. His most recent book, I Am Nothing, was self-published in November 2014 and is distributed worldwide by Twin Palms. Valerio's commercial clients include Renault, MTV Italia, Telecom, Levi's, and Warner Music Italy. So please help me welcome Valerio Spada to our lecture series.
So I don't use that, I just go without microphone. Okay, hi, thank you for coming. And I'm not very, you're in US there, everybody's very organized with presentation. I just have folders of stuff. So I'm gonna show you pictures and books. So we start with the first, the book Jaime was mentioning is Gomorrah Girl, and this is the first edition, which is behind a glass in Paris now, and it's nice. But it started with a total, I don't have the money to print the hardcover thing. This is maybe nice for any probably photography student that figure out how to make a book, because I didn't have probably any idea that the work I was doing in Naples was about a book and about to become a book. I was a commercial photographer before, and then I met this girl that is Annalisa, the father of this girl, that is Annalisa Durante, and my life kind of changed, and I quit my agency in Paris and I got back to Naples to live there. So then it became a book. But this is the cover of the book, of the first and second edition to the left, which was self-published. And this is the third edition cover that is out now since a month by Twin Palms publisher. So I start here because we can even talk a little bit about design. When you decide to work with the designer, and I choose this designer for this reason, because it was really good working with different papers and different cuts in papers. One of the very first discussion I had with the designer for this book was if we have to choose to have a cover with picture, and as a photographer it was my first book, so I was really into, a portrait I took and I love on the cover. And a graphist, usually a designer, doesn't really want a picture on the cover, wants graphic things on the cover. So we ended up in a compromise because we have a picture of a document, which I'm going to show you later, with just a graphic on it. And it ended up in the end to be a good solution for me and for him. He said to me that I'm going to get bored very soon. After a year, he said, if I have a picture on the cover. Right now it's probably a year and a half that we're working on this cover, and I'm not bored, so probably I was right. So this is how the third edition looks now. And the cover design in this case is done by Jack Woody, which is probably, Jack is the owner of Twin Palms publisher. So he, in a way, protected Gomorrah Girl. So the inside pages are just the same, and they're like that. So you just have two different sizes of papers. You have just 100-gram papers at the big one, the big pages, and 150 grams the inner, the inserts. The inserts are on a thicker paper, and it's very hard to do something like that. It was back then, I don't know if now, but it has to be handmade once you produce the book by people. So you have two different things that you have to put 2 pages by 2 pages and then stapled. We had a stapled at the first and second edition. Now Jack designed this case that protects the whole book, which I find to be very sweet, and only someone like him can design something like that. The whole story started from an accident in Naples, which happened in this street that you see here, and a girl, that is Annalisa, got killed in an accident. Actually, there was Annalisa and two of her friends, and then talking with a young boss then, Salvatore Giuliano. He was 19 at the time, and she was 14. And two killers came from a road just nearby to shoot to Salvatore Giuliano, that tried to defend himself, hiding behind this blue car that you see here, and shoot 3 bullets back to the killers. And 3 bullets that the forensic police found, so they might have shot more than 3, but that's what happened. And one of the bullets accidentally hit Annalisa in the head, and she fell on the floor, and she died after 48 hours of coma. And all this story I heard from Giovanni, from her father, that I met in Naples. This is the first picture of the book, and is on the necklace you have Annalisa, which is the only image of Annalisa that is in the whole book. And it's the day I met Giovanni. While I was talking to him, I was recording him, asking him if I can do that. And he was telling me all the details about the murder. And then I was totally staring at the necklace, and I say, okay, can I take a picture of that? And I just took one picture with the last roll of Kodachrome I shot in my life. And then Kodachrome from Italy was difficult because I had to send to Lausanne in Switzerland, I had to send to US, and I got back to you in Italy in order to have it processed. Then when I saw it, I thought, okay, this will open the book, and that's it. There will be no other image of Annalisa there, and it will start everything from the father, because I found a lot of dignity in Giovanni to live in the same place where your daughter dies. And people say that he goes every day at 9 a.m., between 9 and 10 a.m., to the Annalisa grave to bring breakfast, still today. And it's a way to be in contact with. He's totally sharp in the mind. It's just had this 1 hour per day where he go visit his daughter. And it was kind of striking and life-changing for me. I was living in Paris and flying to Naples to shoot this thing that I didn't know what was. My agent was just saying, this Naples thing gonna lead you nowhere, what are you doing there? I didn't even have in mind to do a book. I was just to portray adolescents in a dangerous area, which was Scampia and Piscinola and all the north of Naples. And then when I met Giovanni, I flew back to Paris after hearing all these details about the murder, with promising myself to go back there and try to approach the forensic police in order to have evidences of the murder. And my dream as a photographer at the time was to be able to portray the bullet that killed Annalisa, and which is this. And the major prosecutor there in Naples told me by phone with a very smart voice. She told me very fast, as long as I'll be alive, she was a woman, there will be no photographer or journalist that will take pictures of an evidences that we took. But if you want, you're welcome to come over, police here in Naples, and take pictures of the pictures that we took. So for me, that day was kind of depressing day, because I keep thinking about how those people dress, the young adolescents in Naples, which is very flashy. There's a little bit was fashion, thinking about that, and the contrast with all the details of the murder that the father told me. So to me it was something bizarre to think about it, and it was kind of describing my country in a way, especially in Naples, but you can enlarge it to the whole country. And so I went there anyway, and they just gave me this Moleskine like notebook, big, with their prints on it. And I just took pictures with a small digital camera in the police office of the whole booklet, and without knowing why. I just took it and put it in. Then when I had like a couple of risky events in Naples, a bit harsh, I decided that I have to end the whole thing. It was just to escape to avoid to die shooting pictures, because it was not really what I was thinking to do when I was young. And I was very close in a couple of situations opposed to that, and it was not fun. And the night that I really risked my life, I thought I should end this in some way or another. So I flew back to Paris, moving my flight 3 days before. And while I was flying away from Naples, I wanted badly to go back then, where I risked my life again. So I flew back after a week and I started over again. But with a clear idea about the fact that I wanted the thing to become a book. So I just started to reason, to edit a lot, and then to reason what I was missing to tell my story, to tell Annalisa's story and the story of all the girls that are living in the same area. And then when I was looking back at the picture of this Moleskine, I thought, okay, this would be one layer, the whole thing. Try to avoid to put the most horrible pictures about the murder that are unnecessary to watch and would be unrespectful to Annalisa's dignity. But try to give some details. Like this is, for instance, the picture on the right here is the varnish trace inside the bullet, on the face of the bullet, that tells the forensic police that the bullet hit the top of the Suzuki Alto Blue, the car that you saw there, and then probably hit Annalisa. That's the bullet that hit Annalisa. But yeah, in the end, it was really about editing the whole thing and put it down in a book and try to tell the story of Annalisa through images of girls that are there now in the same area, and try to do things, good or bad. So I'm not judging. I never judge things I picture and portray. I try to document what I see, and I see beauty here, so there, and all the time I go there. And this girl is stunningly amazing. I don't know what you think, but this girl is, to me, is the most beautiful girl on the planet. And so is the cover of the third edition girl. And she cries because she's a neo-melodic singer, which in Italy is a whole career figure, especially in south of Italy. You start singing to move the audience when you're really young, between 8 to 12 to 13. In this case, she sings a song that is called The Letter, that speaks about a mother missing a daughter because they're far away, one is in jail, blah, blah, blah. And she starts crying while on call, while she sings. And the audience get moved. I saw it with my eyes. And they start crying, some of them. And any kind of audience, like Gomorrah audience or normal audience, they just start crying. I thought it was nice to portray in that way. And this is another girl in Scampia, Liviana. Scampia is this area where you have the major drug dealing area. So my intention was to portray the normal life of these girls, basically. These are pictures that I took at Le Vele. It's called The Sales, to translate. It's an area kind of abandoned because it's a beautiful building, but to me at least, but it's abandoned now. So you have only occupied apartments there, and you have people there living it out of nothing, basically, not paying the rent, clearly, because they're occupied, without windows, without glasses, and things like that. But they have childs there, and some of them at the time was having drugs on the second bedroom, and like drugs, and then drug dealer come to pick it up and to sell nearby. And for this, they are getting money from the Camorra, which is the name of Neapolitan mafia, in order to just have the drugs safe in an apartment. And they get a lawyer's assistant too if they get caught and things like that. And this is like a typical family portrait that is happening there. It's 11th floor in Red Sail. And that's it. This is Anna, is a young girl there, living just there. And they just walk, you have stairs that are really ruined because criminals with hammers destroy the stairs in order for police to be not very at ease when try to catching them up or things like that. So you don't have lights, you don't have anything comfortable living there. But you have just the first floor, the basement, you have just needles on the floor because drug addicts used to go there to shoot their dose. And it's a kind of a horrible situation because Naples is like 110 miles from Rome. So it's not like in another world. It's there. It's an hour, it's probably 2-hour car from Rome. And when you go there, you have just the feeling that they live on another planet, and they have the same feeling too, these adolescents. So they just have, they dream to escape, they dream to go to live in Rome or to go away from this horrible situation, but they can't do that because they just have connections there, they have the family, they just live there. So it's normal for them to just go out of their apartment and walk on needles on the floor and then go to sell contraband cigarettes or things like that instead of going to school. Some of them, not all of them. So I tried to document what I think was beautiful for me. It's a very dangerous place. This is, for instance, on the right is my fixer car, Punto, white. I shot the film I shot with my Mia 7, which is a medium format camera, you probably know. So you don't really frame very well when you shoot with that. But I never crop my pictures, so I just keep what I see. And in this case, I was shooting a video going around the whole building. And this guy, when we were passing by car, I was at the window. You say window from the car, shooting the video. He said, "Just I'm gonna kill you. Put this camera down." So I don't know how, because I have the recording of this. I said, "Okay." I said to my fixer, "Stop here. We have to take a picture of this guy." So I came down and I approached him, and this is the last picture of the book. And they were arguing, the girl and the guy. So I start to say, "I'm gonna kill you, put the camera away," and my fixer, as always in that case, is just light a cigarette without saying nothing. The fixer is, for the one that doesn't know, is the guy that promise you to keep you safe under tough circumstances. Usually, what happens when you are really close friend with the fixer is not nice, because once you stay a lot of time with the fixer, you become really close friends, and then he trusts you. So if you want to push forward, he will follow you, because he say, okay, he knows what he's doing. So it becomes an unbalanced thing right after when you become really close friends. So it was that the case. So we just went down, and in the end it was okay. But what happened is when I asked him, okay, now I'm going to take a picture of you. And he said, okay, just name it the killer of Scampia. And I said, okay, why? And he said, because I killed a man and I served in jail for 13 years. He was like 31 probably. And now I have other 2 years to do for minor robberies and things like that. But just call it the killer of Scampia. I said, okay, I will do that. And the girl was not okay to take the picture. So she hides herself behind him slightly. And with a cynic instinct, because the photographer sometimes has to think, okay, I don't have to take this picture because she's saying no. But I just took one shot, and because to me that was really, in some way, a portrait of my country. Because I don't know here, but when you see very often in movies, in theaters, you see the couples, and you see there's always a leading person that will go there. You know, for instance, in this, there's a guy that go there, and the partner that will follow there. You never have. In south of Italy, this is very strong. So the guy here is just posing, very proud, looking at me, like, okay, shoot me now. And the girl was hiding a little bit. So I think that was, in a way, the best portrait I can do of Naples and what is happening in this area. And when the guy in Naples, in south of Italy, got arrested, is the girl that catch up on being the boss. Is the girl that go there and try to run the business anyway. So it's not like that, how can I say, that fragile as a figure, the woman figure. But it becomes very powerful once the man got arrested. So he becomes the boss. And they cannot make up themselves. They just go out in, like in gym suits with horrible clothes, because if they make up themselves, it means that they are betraying their man that is in jail. So there are all these small rules which someone cannot comprehend, but they are pretty strong in Naples area, especially in north of Naples area. So I try to document that things, and this was like the picture that I was mentioned before, when I risk a little bit, because at the end of this hole to the left there are all other drug addicts. They are just in a bar sport. You see, instead of a cigarette, they have a needle on the ear, and so in this situation you have the first floor which is where they sell the dose. So they go up and they buy it behind a cage, and so they sell the drugs there, and then they take the drugs and they go down and they shoot the dose, and then they go up and down again. So before entering and take picture here with the fixer, we had to ask to the area boss if we can do that, because it would meant to stop their business in a way if we make a mess with flashes or lights or stuff like that. So we say just don't use flashes, and if you can, don't take a picture, but you can have a look. You just go there and have a look. Just if you stop my business, I'm gonna kill you before they do. So try not to mess things up. So I just went there. In my mind, I was still like a fashion photographer. So when you're a fashion photographer, things are a bit easier because it's you and other 20 people that does what you're supposed to do. And then if you messed up something, you have somebody like Andrea fixing the whole thing in retouching after. So it's another world, and I came from that world. So to me it was like wonderful. There's this girl that I was following outside, I spoke to her before. My fixer told me, okay, just give her money, and then we take her, as I do with other photographers, and we carry her out of this place, and you shoot the picture safe. And I thought it was a bit strange to pay somebody so she shoot drugs in her vein, and I take my pictures. To me, it was a bit, it was not okay. So I said, no, we go inside. We don't shoot pictures. We just look at what's happening there. So we went there, and it was just this whole, the white dot that you see down there is where the lights come from in places like that. And she has one over her head here, and there's another one over this guy's head. It used to be an ex-kindergarten. And so clearly, when they shoot, they just put themselves right under the light where you have when you can see the vein, and to me there was a picture, and I took out a digital camera that I had in my pocket, and I shoot the picture without thinking about the viewfinder will start illuminating the whole thing, because I didn't turn it off, and so everybody were aware of the fact that I was shooting the picture. They put guns. My fixer said, should I have to take the gun? And there were like 100 people, so like 5 to 8 of them follow us out of this place. But once we were out, the area boss came to kick them and to punch them, so they just fell on the floor and they stand up again. It's like zombies. So they just come to you and they start to argue with me. You shot a picture, you're going to show it on the television and things like that. And I say, you did a video, they say, and I say, I did not. I mean, I just shot a picture and you are not in it, I was saying. I was trying to reason, as you normally reason with people. But those people, they don't reason much. So they have their idea and they go there until so they wanted the car, clearly. The car was the first thing that I hide once I shot the picture. So I have just, that's why very often I go around with very cheap cameras when I shoot these kind of things, like $100 camera, $200 camera, $1,000 camera, because I know that something can happen, and if they steal my camera is fine. Or $20 flashes, the Vivitar plastic old one. And that's it. So I will probably move to the I Am Nothing, to the second book now. So the second work, which is what is going to be out now in March probably, it's I Am Nothing, and this was supposed to be the cover because I'm changing it, but it was the first cover. I mean, I already printed this book and already sold some copies of this book, but I was not happy with it, so I'm reprinting it with Twin Palms. And Jack is designing the whole cover jacket, and which will be printed on transparent paper and run throughout the whole book, and it will be this. The book is about, so you don't see nothing on the cover, which I love. And the title, I Am Nothing, comes from a letter of Matteo Messina Denaro, which is a fugitive from law. Oh, it's beautiful. It's very good. The guy, Jack is amazing. So in this case, I try to approach Sicily, which is, as Naples, is a wonderful area, territory, and island in south of Italy. I don't know how many of you have been there, but just go there if you can. And again, it was a contrast. Once again, it was the most beautiful land I can imagine. Ruled and reigned by the most the meanest person you can find probably around. Matteo Messina Denaro is once every 2-3 years in the top 10 of FBI most wanted. He's fugitive from law since 1993, and he has probably many life sentences on his head. He killed a lot of people. There's a phrase that I recorded about him that was saying, "I can build a cemetery about how many people I killed in my life." So he did things. And the title actually comes from this letter. It's a pizzino. A pizzino is a A4 paper, imagine, and written, in this case by hand or with a typewriter machine, by the boss fugitive from law. And it's how Sicilian mafia communicates nowadays and in the last 20 years. Matteo Messina Denaro writes wonderfully well. I mean, he really writes in a poetic way. Okay, I'm gonna read it for the far away. You see, I've known pure desperation and I've been alone. I've been experienced hell and I've been alone. I've fallen many, many times and I've got back up again on my own. I've witnessed pure ingratitude on the part of everyone and anyone, and I've been alone. I have known the taste of dust, and in my solitude I've been nourished by it. Can a man who has lived all of this in silence still have faith? I am nothing, this from the title, a loser, but if you need this nothing, I'm always here for you, for anything that is not rhetoric. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I really love you. We last in esteem, and love as always. P.S. When you have read this letter, burn it. Matteo Messina Denaro is not how he signed his Pizzini, it was Alessio, but it was too complicated to. I had a kind of big discussion with the publisher because clearly he wants to explain as much as possible about this to US market and worldwide, and I am on the other side. I want to say the less I can about that. So, and still the book is about something you don't see, because to make a book on how a mafia boss rules the country is kind of an impossible challenge, but I try to document again the life in Sicily and try to chase all the objects left behind by the fugitives. And I got lucky enough to have access to these objects. The prosecutor called me and say, if you fly to Palermo, I'm going to open the safe for you and see what's inside. What we seized to the fugitive, to Bernardo Provenzano. So I went there in one day in Palermo, and it was in a very secret room. Well, we took pictures of these objects. So it's pretty simple. I went there even with a Italian journalist that wrote 2 books about Bernardo Provenzano, and when he found himself in front of this, which is the Holy Bible of Bernardo Provenzano, which nobody touched and saw, except the police that he got arrested. Bernardo Provenzano is the boss that was on the run for 43 years. So he was the one in charge before Matteo Messina Denaro. He had a Bible where he noted everything, small things, and he used the words of the Bible to give orders through the pizzini. So every pizzino was ending like a sacred sentence or something like that means something, possibly. So when they got this, this is how it looks like inside. So this is crazy, it's not normal to do that. I mean, and look at how he underlines things. It's like every word. So if you underline, I mean, I don't know you, but if I go like that, like one line, I don't do each word like that. So he is alone for 43 years doing that. And the whole Bible is like this. So I was inside the inside a place in Palermo to shoot the whole Bible, which is 1,676 pages, like that, with an Hasselblad too, digital, and with a journalist on his knees turning the page for me. And I was totally struck by what I saw. And when he finished the post-it, he started to use the old TDK tape in order to sign things or words. And so I was then we washed our hands after, because this guy was the guy responsible for the killing of Giovanni Borsellino and Falcone. There are the biggest prosecutors in Palermo that got killed by mafia that bombed a whole highway, a whole piece of highway, in order to let explode the car, armored car, where he was, the prosecutor were going Falcone were going with his bodyguards, and in the case of Borsellino, they put a car full of explosives right under the buzzer of the mother of the prosecutor that he was used to visit every Sunday. And the minute he rang the buzzer, they let explode the whole thing, and you have the scene after that is horrible. It's like pieces of bodies on the trees, and all the bodyguards got killed. He got killed too. So there was a period in Italy, a time in Italy, 92, 93, where it's like when you try to buy something and you say I have $50 and the thing costs 100. Bargain. Okay. Basically, the mafia is asking still today to Italian politics lighter laws for the boss in jails. It's actually a law that is called 41 bis that says that the boss can only have with him just the Bible. That's why Provenzano was using the Bible as a code. And the day he got arrested, he asked when he was in jail, I want my Bible. And the prosecutor I spoke with said, sure, you have the right to have the Bible. And she bought a brand new Bible for him. And she gave the new Bible to him, said, you have the Bible, you're so religious, so keep it. And she has this Bible in this safe. And inside the Bible, you have all these kind of things, like sacred icons and notes. And this is another book. But you have also this, which is the leaflets for Italian parties that probably the boss was suggested to vote for in Sicily. And this is a so clear connection between mafia and politics. Nobody saw this in Italy. Nobody saw this. And this guy now is in jail, Toto Cuffaro. And
Valerio, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you approach the prosecutor and get this kind of access, or what is the deal in that case?
Okay, usually in this case it was easier than Naples because I had Gomorrah Girl first. So I had my book. So the easiest way to approach people I'm interested to work with is to show them my work. And if they like it, they say, okay, I help you. And if they don't, they say, I don't help you. But she liked it. And but I guess this type of people are the type of persons that I was mentioning before. Once on the phone, they can tell you if you're the guy to help or not. And she was talking to me the first time, like when I was showing my work, Gomorrah Girl, Naples, blah, blah. And she had a call, and she said, sorry, Valerio, 1 second. And the call was this. Okay, yeah, no, okay, okay, he's in Colombia. Okay, let do this guy a peaceful Easter, and we catch him with an international order of arrest on Monday. Oh, sorry, Valerio, you were saying like this. So this is the phone call that she handled in 5 seconds while talking to me, giving me the attention and say sorry because I just postponed an international order of arrest of I don't know who in Colombia. So imagine how fast a woman like that can tell if you're sincere and honest or you want to do the scoop or publish picture on a magazine. So I never intend to use magazines in my life and to work for magazines for this type of pictures. I do it only for my books. But in that case, yeah, it was like this. The access was easier in the second. Now, probably if I go with my book under my arm, I can have access easier to anything. This is him. This is one of the 3 images we have from Matteo Messina Denaro. So he got famous for this Ray-Ban glasses when he was young, and this is his writing, his signatures over there. And this is a graphological studies on the few documents that we have from him when he was at school, sometimes, like elementary school. So just to see if it's the same calligraphy. There's another part of the book that talks and describes the daughter of Matteo Messina Denaro, because he had a daughter while he was a fugitive, and the daughter is now 18. And I am, and I get very close to the daughter, but it's not something that I can access easy. And the prosecutor told me that simply I'm going to die if I'm going to publish a picture of her, because it's considered to be outrageous to the boss. So I took pictures of daughters from far away, and I try to work a lot on the scans and grain and everything in order not to show. You cannot tell if it's about her or it's about another girl or it's something similar. But it was a part of the book that is dedicated to gestures that you do, that a girl can do by the sea when when you go out of having taken a bath and you go to dry your feet with the sand to let the water go away, and or like putting your hair up like that. If you have she has a long hair, black, and all these things, the things that the father is missing for his mission, how he calls it. So it's a way for me to say to him, is it worth it to miss all this beautiful gesture in order to kill people? So, and this is a part of a very delicate of the book, so I'm not going to show you very much. But and the end of the book is basically one of the things that were written on those letters by Messina Denaro were to meet from a boss of mafia just by the sea or near sand when you have people taking a bath and blah blah blah. So police cannot put spy bags in the sand because you can walk for miles talking, and they can only get probably the video recording, like this case. And this is kind of this is written on the pizzino by Matteo Messina Denaro. So you have these two men talking about mafia business, like fully dressed, walking on the beach, and you have like a kid with a bathing suit coming out of the water, and while these guys are speaking about business. And again, all these are images of things like that. This is a canvas that got destroyed in a Florence attack by Matteo Messina Denaro with bombing of Bartolomeo Manfredi. There was another one from Gerardo Drenotti. There are Caravaggio's painters. And these canvases were right in front of a window that exploded with the bomb from outside, and they got destroyed. Now they got restored, and they have it in the Corridoio Vasariano in Uffizi, and I had a chance to take a picture of this and to walk alone in the Uffizi for 1 hour with no audience or visitors, which is a wonderful experience. And again, to me, this is something that is that represents Italy very much. This is really Italy. So the new book is out in 2 months. We're printing it right now. So we are just discussing via emails about details about jacket and blah, 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 and papers. And it will be out soon. And so I will always be attracted by this until it ends. So until I end my life, probably, because it will be probably more longer than that. But so that's it. Thank you very much.
We have time for a brief Q&A. If you want to ask a question, I'll pass around the mic. Speak into it for the video, please.
3, 2, 1. Yes.
Yeah, hi, thank you. So, first of all, thanks for speaking. I haven't seen your work before. A lot of the work needs a lot of explanation, a lot of backstory in the books. Is there this backstory along with it while you're looking at this stuff? Because it's very, very complicated. I mean, in the U.S. we don't have a lot of knowledge of how the Gomorrah works and how entrenched it is. And the only thing I do remember is when that old boss did got caught in a barn or something like that a long time ago, if that's who it was. But other than that, we don't hear any of this stuff.
Yeah, this was a tougher one. Yeah, I know. That is probably why my publisher, the distributor of this book, wants to explain that much, because it's true that if someone from 'Ndrangheta, which is another, in Italy we are very specialized. We have 4 mafias, pretty tough. But in Italy, in US, you think about mafia as mafia. It's like when you say pizza mandolino, mafia, like the whole thing. But we have 4 different ones. And so there are 4 books, possibly, I can do, minimum. But I have a 5th one, too. And they're all different connections. So 'Ndrangheta from Calabria is connected to Germany very much as money and business. And Sacra Corona Unita is connected to Balkans, Sicily to all. Sicily is so powerful as mafia. But when somebody from 'Ndrangheta get arrested in US, it happened in New York last year, For instance, a friend of mine told me, wow, you see, what you're working on is happening here now. And I was not, I said, no, it's a different mafia, but thank you for the article. I heard about that, but it's true that it's difficult to explain the difference between these things. And so Italy is complicated, but it's a beautiful country. Please come visit.
Sorry, just real quick. So how do you incorporate that into the book?
Sorry again?
How do you incorporate that into your book? Does the reader get that info, or is it just left pretty cryptic?
It's in the Sicily or Naples or Gomorrah Girl, because Gomorrah Girl is about Camorra and Naples is about mafia. So in Naples we have captions which are pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's written something what you see, but it's pretty much left. You have the first and second page is the actual translation in English of the forensic police reports of the murder, which is not Italian, it's a different language. If you read it in Italian, it's not even Italian. It's a whole, how the police write about a murder it's not a language, it's it's like, I don't know, to translate, it was difficult even to translate, because to say that the bullet hit the head, they say, ha tinto la teca cranica. That to translate is, the bullet reached the box, the school box of the, is all these things that even to translate was difficult. So I translated with a judiciary translator, the coldest I can, so it's not even English, because it was not even Italian. It was another problem. So you read these two things, which is the report of the murder, and then you open the book, and to me, you don't even need the caption, to me. But then we made caption of the portrait, but anything about the Moleskine murder, you clearly understand what it's about. And I tend to not explain things in pictures and books I make. I'm okay saying nothing. I am nothing, really, and to say nothing. That's. But I'm okay now because I did a successful book, the first book. So I know that probably people that have bought my first book that been sold out twice and probably third time will probably buy another book of mine. So I'm okay because I have people that are nice enough to buy my books now. And so I can even say very little, but the publisher no. The publisher wants to say, the distributor wants to explain things, and so we try to mix it up. And you will, in this case, in the Sicily book, I solved it without saying nothing for the whole book, except the translation of the thing that I read you. And we don't have the old Pizzino translated, which is going to be in the end papers. I have that in Italian. I don't want to translate it, but I translated for them. And then in the last 3 pages, you have captions of every pages, where I explain everything I say to you about, let's say, this picture. I say it in like 7 lines what it's about. So again, I leave 140 pages of guessing, and then if you want and you have the time, you go and figure what it's about. So this is how I narrate now, but I guess I'm going to get worse the older I get. I want to tell even less. So, and to get away from people, the more, I don't know, I'm on this deriva, I don't know to say, I'm going there now. But you have to see the book, then you tell me what it's about. Give me back the money. Thank you. To the killers, and 3 bullets that the forensic police found. So they might have shot more than 3, but that's what happened. And one of the bullets accidentally hit Annalisa in the head, and she felt on the floor, and she died after 48 hours of coma. And all this story I heard from Giovanni, from her father, that I met in Naples. This is the first picture of the book, and is on the necklace you have Annalisa, which is the only image of Annalisa that is in the whole book. And it's the day I met Giovanni. While I was talking to him, I was recording him, asking him if I can do that. And he was telling me all the details about the murder. And then I was totally staring at the necklace, and I say, okay, can I take a picture of that? And I just took one picture with the last roll of Kodachrome I shot in my life. And then Kodachrome from Italy was difficult because I had to send to Lausanne in Switzerland, I had to send to US, and I got back to you in Italy in order to have it processed. Then when I saw it, I thought, okay, this will open the book. And that's it. There will be no other image of Annalisa there. And it will start everything from the father, because I found a lot of dignity in Giovanni to live in the same place where your daughter dies. And so I don't use that, I just go without microphone. Okay, hi, thank you for coming. And I'm not very, you're in US there, everybody's very organized with presentation. I just have folders of stuff. So I'm gonna show you pictures and books. So we start with the first, the book Jaime was mentioning is Gomorrah Girl, and this is the first edition, which is behind a glass in Paris now, and it's nice. But it started with a total, I don't have the money to print the hardcover thing. This is maybe nice for any probably photography student that figure out how to make a book, because I didn't have probably any idea that the work I was doing in Naples was about a book and about to become a book. I was a commercial photographer before, and then I met this girl that is Annalisa, the father of this girl, that is Annalisa Durante, and my life kind of changed, and I quit my agency in Paris and I got back to Naples to live there. So then it became a book. But this is the cover of the book, of the first and second edition to the left, which was self-published. And this is the girl. So the inside pages are just the same, and they're like that. So you just have two different sizes of papers. You have just 100 gram papers at the big one, the big pages, and 150 grams the inner, the inserts. The inserts are on a thicker paper, and it's very hard to do something like that. It was back then, I don't know if now, but it has to be handmade once you produce the book by people. So you have two different things that you have to put 2 pages by 2 pages and then stapled. We had a stapled at the first and second edition. Now Jack designed this case that protects the whole book, which I find to be very sweet, and only someone like him can design something like that. The whole story started from an accident in Naples, which happened in this street that you see here, and a girl, that is Annalisa, got killed in an accident. Actually, there was Annalisa and 2 of her friends, and then talking with a young boss then, Salvatore Giuliano. He was 19 at the time, and she was 14. And 2 killers came from a road just nearby to shoot to Salvatore Giuliano, that tried to defend himself, hiding behind this blue car that you see here, and shoot 3 bullets back to third edition cover that is out now since a month by Twin Palms publisher. So I start here because we can even talk about a little bit about design. When you decide to work with the designer, and I choose this designer for this reason, because it was really good working with different papers and different cuts in papers. One of the very first discussion I had with the designer for this book was if we have to choose to have a cover with picture, and as a photographer it was my first book, so I was really into, a portrait I took and I love on the cover. And a graphist, usually a designer, doesn't really want a picture on the cover, wants graphic things on the cover. So we ended up in a compromise because we have a picture of a document, which I'm going to show you later, with just a graphic on it. And it ended up in the end to be a good solution for me and for him. He said to me that I'm going to get bored very soon. After a year, he said, if I have a picture on the cover. Right now it's probably a year and a half that we're working on this cover, and I'm not bored, so probably I was right. So this is how the third edition looks now. And the cover design in this case is done by Jack Woody, which is probably, Jack is the owner of Twin Palms publisher. So he, in a way, protected Gomorrah.
Hello and welcome to our Spring 2015 Digital Photography Lecture Series. We are thrilled to have photographer Valerio Spada as tonight's guest speaker. Valerio attended Milan's Istituto Italiano de Fotografia, where he graduated with an MFA in photography. In 2011, his first self-published book, Gomorrah Girl, won the PBN Photography Book Now Best Book of the Year. Now in its third edition, the book was re-released in 2014 by Twin Palms and made Time's Best Photography Books for a second time. And so many awards have gone to Gomorrah Girl. I won't even bother to. Great success, a great event in publishing. His works are included in the permanent collections of George Eastman House, Cleveland Museum of Art, ICP, Lightwork, and the DC Bank Frankfurt Art Foyer private collection. In 2013, Valerio was awarded a Guggenheim Fellowship. His most recent book, I Am Nothing, was self-published in November 2014 and is distributed worldwide by Twin Palms. Valerio's commercial clients include Renault, MTV Italia, Telecom, Levi's, and Warner Music Italy. So please help me welcome Valerio Spada to our lecture series.